Hello everyone, welcome back. It's Empyrion Galactic Survival episode 24. I'm Enigmius, and today we are back in the Spectre Alpha. We're heading to the moon again. We're going to fly on by the moon and we're going to see what we can do to get ourselves established with a bit of a base. But first we made a bunch of changes to the ship. They're not necessarily big changes, but I did take a little bit of footage of it so that I could show it to you, because a lot of it had to be covered in before we could head off into no man's land where things want to shoot at us again. The first major change that I made that we may not even use for some time is I added a warp drive, and it's quite large. It's 5 blocks by 5 by 2 high, and I didn't want it exposed, and I didn't really have anywhere else to put it, so I put it on the top and I built a big enclosure around it, but it's there. The other thing that we did is we had a minigun turret on the top of the ship towards the front. We removed that. We replaced it with a plasma turret. That's the weapon that gives us the range of 1,000 meters. That should hopefully make us a little bit better able to take out the defenses of the stations that we're coming close to without necessarily allowing them to fire back at us. That was kind of one of the things that I wanted to do. So having given up one minigun turret in order to make space for that plasma turret, we put 2 new minigun turrets on the rear fins. So now we've got 6 minigun turrets instead of 5, and then we've got the plasma turret as far forward as we could place it without having to do major renovations. In addition to that, we've brought a bunch of extra materials on board. We processed all of our rock dust into cement. We turned it into cement blocks. We've got over 8,000 cement blocks that we could use towards the construction of a moon base, and we're basically good to go. There's all kinds of stuff waiting for us out there, and we're going to go find it, hopefully. So here we are. It's a little bit bulky with the enclosure for the warp drive, but it's not that bad. I mean, there's a reason why that big hump is there, and it's related to the addition of a pretty swanky piece of hardware, so we're not too worried about it. I think the ship is kind of evolving rather nicely in most respects, but all that having been said, we need to get down to the business of leaving. I also switched out some of the small thrusters that we put in for the ones of the large variety. We put some large thrusters back in for the side-to-side. You can see we've got the big exhaust plumes there. Hopefully it's to help us with the strafing. So if something is shooting at us, we can shift side to side and hopefully avoid all the nastiness. Now the nice thing about this is, despite all of that, if I'm using one of the side thrusters, all the lift thrusters, and the forward thruster, we still don't breach the 100% power usage mark. Very important to me that we not do that. So I love how fast you can get out of the atmosphere in this game. I like the expansive sort of thing that you're exposed to in some games, and other times after a while they just become time sinks. In this case you don't get that feeling of time sink. Maybe you find things a little bit small for a while, but eventually I think most people can appreciate that we don't have the time sinky bits. Now there's a problem of some kind, and not all of our thrusters are firing. Do we still have thrusters that are not part of a group? I guess that's one question that we want to ask ourselves. Oh, RCS. Where's the RCS and why isn't it working? All of the RCS are turned off. Why would all the RCS be turned off? What is wrong with you, RCS? We're counting on you. I was trying to turn and shift and do all those crazy things that you could do with a ship that has all of these tier 2 RCS units, and it wasn't moving. And I see all these little bits of space fluff flying around, and it terrifies me because I think it's a drone that's stalking me. And I'm stuck in a window turning on all of my RCS units. I could put all of these in a group and turn them all on with one go, but we're not doing that this time around because that would just be too damn easy. That having been said, we know there's the Thermica station somewhere in orbit of the Akua. We're not going there. We're going to the moon. We're just going straight to the moon And we're going to find a nice safe place to land in. We're going to shoot at bases from a kilometer away and see if that helps us at all. My big thing about shooting at things that far away is that there's no enhanced optics on these kinds of turrets. It's basically you shoot in the general direction and you hope you hit what you were trying to shoot, because otherwise you're doing all kinds of collateral damage, and the worst outcome is that you shoot the loot containers and then nobody really wants to go back to the base anyways. There's no point anymore. So gotta be a little bit careful. Oh, there's a base. He's trying to be sneaky. He might be on the other side of a map barrier, and that's why he sort of hopped into visibility and then left. There he is again. Yeah, I think that's a map barrier. So we're gonna kind of ignore that for the time being and just sort of spin around and make sure. There's a base of some sort there. All I see is little sparkling blue things. It looks like it's kind of like either a tower or very flat. It's one or the other. We found a Promethium deposit, which is good. There's a cannon drone and a rocket drone. Large minigun drone. And bunch of jerks flying around. Oh, and that thing down on the ground is now shooting at us. It shoots so fast, but I don't see any action from the drones, or at least they're not in range. So what I'm wondering, no, the ship can't hold itself steady at that angle. It just slowly falls to the ground. So, oh, there it is. Now it just kind of pops in. Now, did we actually shoot down any of these drones, or did they just fly away? I think we may have just outranged them and they didn't bother to chase. I am quite curious to see if the drones on the moon have any better scrap than the ones that were on Akua, because that would be kind of fun to shoot down drones and collect their scrap if that was the case. How are we looking here? Distance. Oh, cannon drone. My minigun turrets are working very hard to shoot down this cannon drone, but they're not. There we go. They're using up a lot of ammunition to do very little. Jerks. Alright, so let's try, as if this wasn't going to be difficult enough without the enhanced optics. Plasma turret, access. Yeah, I can't see much of anything. I can see the lights down there. But I don't know what those lights represent. So, I think what we're going to do is we're going to land near that Promethium deposit. Oh, here comes a minigun drone. Plasma turret off. Please and thank you. There we go. Oops. Just try not to bounce off of everything. So we're kind of protected here from the guns of the enemies if they ever come online, and it turns out that they're close enough to actually shoot at us because there's sort of a mountain range thing going on here. But that having been said, there's also some question as to whether or not it's going to let us land. The easiest way to find out is to turn off all the thrusters, and it'll just settle to the ground. There's a rocket drone. There we go. Come daylight, we're going to have to do check for damage. Is this thing loaded? Might be if I hit the right button. There we go. Guns loaded, lights are on. We've got some drones to examine. We've got oxygen. We've got food. We've got guns and lots of ammo. So the first thing we'll do is we'll check out those drones before they despawn on us again. The game is getting really, really choppy as of late, and I've turned down a lot of settings, and it's it could be a short-term thing. It could be a recent addition. Who knows? We'll come up with a solution for it eventually, but for now, just have to kind of roll with it. Now, I have no idea what to expect on the surface of the moon. I don't know if there's going to be wandering bad guys. What do we get from the rocket drones? Nothing that's any better than what we could have got from rocket drones on Akua. Cannon drone, 50 caliber ammunition. Someday we'll use that in our pistol, but for now, we could do better. We could do much better. More 50 caliber ammunition. We've got so much 50 caliber ammunition. Oh, that's a planet. That's not even on the moon. All right. I feel better now having looked for it. I don't see any moon creatures wandering around, so we're going to assume that there are none until we're proven wrong. We're just going to kind of head out in this direction. Put this here. Put this here. Created a new base. That is fantastic. There we go. Just sitting there. Alright, and it's all going to be concrete. And the reason it's all going to be concrete is because concrete is something that I have a lot of and don't have any other use for than to build things. And it's stronger than wood, which is also kind of a good thing. I had quite a fair amount of wood left in the base down on Akua, but I'm not necessarily wanting to bring wood to the moon to make a base. That seems kind of silly. We're just gonna kind of try and make sure that we get off to a right start, getting everything sort of set up the way that we want it, and then what we'll do is we'll get a generator and a fuel tank and some lights going here so that we can actually see what the hell we're doing if we're lucky. That's kind of key. There's going to be a luck factor in this, I think. We have 7 and some odd minutes left until daytime. Our first daytime on the moon outside of our ship. I have to kind of get a feel for how long oxygen lasts in this suit. Oh, rocket drone. See, I like to hear the little bursts, the short little bursts that suggest that the turrets are at least trying to not waste all of their ammunition. Starting to get the feeling we're going to have a bit of a repair task come morning. But in the meantime, we're going to scoot on over here in the almost pitch black. Grab us some loot from this rocket drone. That was weird. We got stuck on the train. So there's our power plant, such that it is. Guess what happened? I was off making these things, the tanks and the generator, and we ran out of iron. Of all things to run out of, after everything that we did to try and get ready to come out here and actually accomplish great things, we've run out of iron. We're going to have to do a little bit of exploration to find a new supply of iron fairly quickly. Otherwise, we're going to end up having to go back to Akua with our head held low out of shame. Sheer shame. But in the meantime, I want to build up around this. Being that it's our power plant, I don't want to take any chances with giving the bad guys around here an easy shot at destroying our power output. It's just a base. It's not, it's not necessarily a weapon of war. It doesn't need a ton of power output to keep everything going that we want to have in here. But having said that, it does have to keep everything going. Otherwise, it's kind of useless. So we're just going to build around it with some of our many concrete blocks. And hopefully the enemy, if they do try and shoot through to the power plant, just gets really bored before they get there, trying to get through all these layers of concrete. I can see a reinforced concrete variant of concrete being added at some point, because realistically concrete doesn't have a ton of hit points. But if you take concrete and were to, assemble it with metal components of some kind that resemble rebar, you would have something that was a little bit more robust that you could use to protect your stuff. And also, hopefully this will be a fairly beefy foundation for all the things that we plan on doing. Now, see, I've already done something wrong, although I don't know if I want to call it wrong or if I just want to call it out of order. So what we'll do is we're going to jump up here and down here, and then we're going to jump back in the drone, and we're going to fill in these guys, and we're going to say that we did it out of order. It's not wrong, it's just different. Here we go. And then we'll put in another row here, so that'll be 4 rows thick on all sides, just protecting the power plant. And then we're going to build everything else pretty much on top of it in floors. And then towards the top, the middle and the top is where we're going to place our defensive turrets, so that hopefully we can prevent the worst of the worst possible things from happening, which is to have our base basically ripped apart by drones. Because it's embarrassing. It really is. Now, I haven't decided if I want to cover this with like the shuttered windows so we can see down and we can actually interact with the tanks and see if the generator is moving and all that other stuff, but still be able to walk on it, or if we're just going to leave it as is and carry on about our business. I think for now, because we can always change it, we're going to carry on about our business. And we're just going to keep in mind that we do have that thing to finish. We didn't even finish building the last 2 layers here. The drone is already complaining. Too far away. No, we're not. We're just far enough. See, this is the kind of building that we can do when we've got an abundance of building materials. It's kind of fun. Just layering it in until you come up with something that you feel is just like the bee's knees. Nothing's going to get through this. It's going to withstand anything until the first time it gets attacked. And then it's not going to work at all the way you expected it to. And you're going to feel kind of silly. So after a bunch of flying around with drones and the sun coming up, I have to say, the sun on the moon, let's just get rid of the drone for a second. This is what the moon looks like when the sun is out. It's just like dust. This constant cloud of dust in the air, and it's just different shades of gray, which is fine. I mean, it's the moon. What do you expect? It's just one of those things. But I was a little bit surprised because I was flying around building with the drone, and I realized that the sun was up, and I decided to take a look at what it looks like, and this is it. So this is basically, I would say, the majority of what we're going to see out of our moon base. We're going to add a little bit more up top. We don't need more up top. We're actually going to have a ton of space to place all our machines and everything else that we might want here, as well as the weapons that we've selected for this particular installation. Now we're going to make an entrance, probably available with ramps, or just using our jetpack to jump up to the opening, whatever it takes. And then from there we'll be able to work our way up quite quickly and easily to the upper levels where all the important things are happening. So we'll take a look at that in the next episode. We'll probably have it mostly finished off by then, and then we'll head off and we'll take a look at what we can do on the moon for the rest of our moon landing entertainment business before we head off to broader pastures. So if you want to be notified when we add that next video, as always, you can subscribe to my channel or follow me on social media. Links for social media are in the information box below the video. Feel free to leave your comments and feedback. Thanks for watching, guys, and take care.